All right, let's dive into a story that's probably going to sound a little too familiar for some of you. It's about a multi-million-dollar project that was heading straight for a cliff. We're going to look at how it was pulled back from the absolute brink and turned into a massive success. So let me ask you this. When you've got millions on the line, people's careers hanging in the balance, what's that one thing that truly keeps the executives up at night? Is it the tech? The budget? The schedule? It's this. It's that creeping feeling in the pit of your stomach that your go-live date isn't a plan, it's a prayer. It's the loss of confidence, that feeling that the whole thing could just fall apart. And that is exactly where our story begins today. So, picture this, a huge Australian company right in the middle of a massive HR system overhaul. And at the very center of this whole thing was something you absolutely cannot get wrong, payroll. And we are talking about staggering complexity here. This was not some simple, straightforward payroll setup. Oh no. You had multiple, overlapping union agreements, and every single one had its own web of incredibly detailed rules and exceptions. A single slip-up could mean huge financial penalties, not to mention intense heat from unions and government regulators. So, yeah, getting this wrong was just not an option. Now, the company had already finished phase 1 of this project. But here's the thing. Instead of celebrating, alarm bells were ringing loud and clear all the way up the chain. That first rollout had uncovered some really deep, systemic issues with how they were doing things. Basically, their old-school way of testing the system was completely falling apart. It was taking way too long and costing an absolute fortune. They were burning out their most important people, the subject matter experts who actually understand all those complex payroll rules, by making them do endless, mind-numbing manual checks. And the worst part? No one could draw a straight line from what the system was supposed to do to what was actually being tested. Confidence was just plummeting. So they hit this critical moment. They knew that if they stuck with the same game plan for phase 2, which was going to be even bigger and more complex, it was a guaranteed recipe for disaster. It meant pouring good money after bad, all while the trust in the project just kept evaporating. They had to make a fundamental change. And this is where the whole story just flips on its head. The company decided to bring in a firm called Testpoint, and they came in with a totally different way of thinking, all powered by something they call contextual AI. So what in the world is contextual AI? Well, think about it like this. A generic testing tool is kind of like a tourist map of a city. It shows you the big streets, sure, but it has no idea how the plumbing or the electrical wiring in one specific building actually works. Contextual AI, on the other hand, is like having the original, detailed architectural blueprints for that exact building. It digs right into the messy, real-world details of the company's own contracts and payrolls to find the risks that actually matter. Okay, so that sounds great in theory, right? But how did this new approach actually work in the real world? What did they physically do that was so different? Well, the change was dramatic. I mean, it was night and day. The old way was slow, it was manual, it was totally dependent on a handful of overworked experts, and the results were kind of fuzzy. The new way, it used AI to literally read the legal agreements and design the tests automatically. This took a massive load off the experts, it laser-focused testing on only the highest risk scenarios, and it gave them this crystal clear governance, the hard data that executives need to actually make a confident call. It was a total game changer. Okay, so the approach sounds impressive, but what about the results? Let's get to the numbers, because honestly, they are pretty staggering. 85%. Just take a look at that number for a second. Let it sink in. What do you think that represents? It represents an 85% reduction in the sheer manual effort it took just to design the tests. Think about that. All of those workshops, all of that time just figuring out what to test, it was slashed. A process that used to take months was now being done in a tiny fraction of the time. And this chart really tells the story perfectly. In phase 1, it took the team months just to get ready to start testing. Months. In phase 2, with this new approach, it took them weeks. That's not just an improvement, that's a massive acceleration that lets the whole project focus on actual quality instead of just endless preparation. But the win here wasn't just about speed. It changed the entire project's health. Those business experts were finally freed up to do their actual jobs. The confidence that payroll would be right shot through the roof. The executives and the auditors finally had the clear, traceable proof they needed to sleep at night. And you know what else happened? Morale went up. the team could actually see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that really brings us to the true heart of this story. You see, the technology was the tool, it was the enabler, but the ultimate victory, that was restoring trust. And this is so important. The reporting they got wasn't just some data dump. It was designed with one purpose in mind, to answer the single most important question on every leader's mind. Are we safe to go live? It replaced fear and guesswork with objective, data-driven assurance. It gave them real confidence. And that right there is the key lesson, isn't it? It's almost never the core technology that sinks a project like this. It's the failure to get a handle on the massive risk and complexity that comes with it. It's the failure to provide real, tangible proof that things are actually working. Which leaves us all with a pretty critical question to think about for our own projects, right? When the pressure is on and you have to scale up, are you going to do it by just throwing more people at a broken process? Or are you going to do it by scaling with intelligence? I think this story makes the answer pretty darn clear.